So, dear Dhamma practitioners, this is our ongoing meditation session. Be comfortable yourself and relax your body. Okay, so dear Dhamma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body and keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring your attention to this bell sound, and while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra, just follow the sound please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully Enlightened One. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, before we start our practice session, as usual, we'll take few minutes for ourselves to understand how this practice will help for us to develop our spiritual practice. So, when it comes to our life, it is very important to understand ourselves. What is the real benefit that we can gain out of this soul? So then when it comes to life, there are two ways of life. One is conventional life, and another one is the eternal life. So when this conventional life, our life governed by ideas, thoughts, pattern, culture, religion, and out of many kind of opinions. But when it comes to our eternal level, beyond this moment, when it comes to the very true nature, what is really happening there? So recognizing that is very important, because out of your practice, that is where you go to realize the reality. So when you realize the reality, then you come to the completion. So it's kind of like a subject and object come both together. It's bring the relationship together and bring the completion. So otherwise it's always you feel kind of like a misplaced. So then when it comes to ourselves, what we really look, if we go back to the Buddha's time, when he was in the palace, and one day after that big party, and he went out, that look for the, just to walk around the garden, and then he saw the four signs. One is the old man, one is a sick person, and another one is the dead person, and then so another one is the monk. Is kind of like a sannyasi. It's kind of like the person who look for the renunciation, the very meaning of life. So after these four things, he decided to leave the palace. There are two ideas. One is King Satya Gavesi, King Kusala Gavesi. Those are the two things. What is the truth and what is profitable? Those are the two questions that he had in his mind. So when it comes to ourselves, most of time, we look, it's kind of like a death is the end. It's kind of like a death is the most important thing in our religious life. People look a solution for death. And more than any other things, when it comes to death, people put little attention to that. But when we go back to the Prince Siddhartha, the very beginning of the Buddha's teaching, and even during that time, most of the people, they didn't care about the death that much. It's a very natural thing and it is a very normal thing. Just see that he saw four signs. So if he had the real question about the death, then that day evening he should leave the palace. But he didn't do that. He went back to the palace. But when the very next day, when he saw that monk, then he decided to leave the palace. So that's mean, more than the death, he had a very deeper question about the meaning of life. So then when it comes to us, it is very important, we have to look in the very fundamental quality of the very nature of the Buddhism or the Buddha's teaching. It's nothing to do, it's a kind of like a developing an organized religion or developing an organized community of Sangha or cult or the group. It's nothing to do with that. It's deeply focusing to find the meaning of life. So then what is the difference in between that teachings? And because understanding that is very important when you come to this practice, because this practice leads to that direction. So in day-to-day life, with other things, what is the difference between? So most of time when it comes to our conventional life, we always look a meaningful life. So you can get any meaningful life. You go to school, you get education, and then you go to universities and you find a kind of like something you want to do, and then maybe you become well educated and they put identity on you. You are kind of like this, and then you become like that. And it become your character. and then everybody maybe appreciate you. If you have a higher salary and if the social validation, and then everybody think, and if you have a house yourself and you have your vehicle and you have your own salary, you have money to spend, and then you have, people think it's kind of like a good life and you build up it out of your own effort. And so then everybody appreciate. And then people say, oh, he found the purpose of life. No, he just gave a meaning to the life, but that is not the real meaning of life. So it is totally different. So in the conventional life, as ordinary people, what happens to us? We just caught up. We sometimes get lost on this meaning for life. We look for meaning for life. We want to be somebody. We want to be somebody to bring something. But in that way, you're not going to find the deeper solution for this becoming. So that's why practicing meditation take you to that deeper level. Because when it comes to knowledge, you can go to school. When you want the education, you can go to school and you can go to library and you can go to many places. You can study when you want to get the knowledge. But when you want to get the wisdom, where you go? There's no place that you can go and get the wisdom. That is why the meditation, it can gain out of observing yourself. So then remember, finding the meaning of life, what is really deeply within this life, is a great challenge for us. Why it became a challenge? Because we are so busy to find a meaning for life. We want to be somebody, we want to do something, and because of that, now our mind develops some kind of methods and patterns, and we go with that. So, if you look into the very meaning of life, and fundamentally, you will recognize the change. So out of that change, there's unsatisfactory nature. It is not you interfere with anything, but you recognize the change and you recognize that change brings that. Because when we are interfering to the experience, we try to overcome or overtake the situations, and out of that, what happens? We become unhappy. So then we think this is the unsatisfactory nature. Rather than it's kind of like a thought pattern, you have to understand it is a very natural process. There's no, even in this very conventional life, if you look very carefully, there's no kind of like a satisfaction. For a moment, just a matter of time, we can be satisfied for something, but it's not belong to us, we are not belong to it. It will wash away, go away, change. So that's fundamentally, if you go to the meaning of life, rather than meaningful life, you will recognize the change. That's why in the deeply, let's talk about emptiness. We going to explain that later, how that emptiness comes. So then other one is the change. That means the impermanence and the unsatisfaction in it and selflessness. So if you look very carefully, the real life happens without your participation to that. Just the bottom of life, the thinking pattern happened because of our participation for that. But when it comes to the life, you can't participate for that, consciously interfere to the happening of life. If it is so, how the people die? So that's it's there, that happens. And deeply, it's kind of like a selfless. So if you are capable to understand that, then you recognize it. Even though we experience things in the moment, it is not a kind of like something that going to be there. That is why this nothingness came. It's a nothingness means no thingness. No, because we always interfere with the things. These things, that things, in the past things, the future things, present things, we always interfere with the things. Why? Because our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, those are in the material world, those are the organs. It's things. And then the outside objects. Those are things. So then out of that, we always want to experience something. Some things. But that things we always format and we come to a picture, structure, model and hold it to that. But deeply, there is no permanently, there is no thing. That's why this nothingness, fundamentally, this emptiness govern as the final property. That's why this everything exists around us. So when it comes to the very meaning of life, it's a kind of like there's no bottom level you can go and hold. There's no thing. It's empty or emptiness. So when it comes to the purpose of life, nothing. But in the very conventional life, as ordinary people, it depresses. Why? It's difficult for us. Why? Because we always into things. So just imagine, as children, just like as example nowadays, everybody use the cell phone, computer, and the Wi-Fi and the electricity. Just imagine if the Wi-Fi not available, people get disappointed. Why? Because they used to it. So if the electricity is not available, they get disappointed. They used to it. 5 minutes, if the cell phone is not there, they get disappointed. They get used to it. Once you get used to something, and you depending from that things, and when it come to understand there are no things, you get depressed, disappointed. But in the very meaning of life, there's nothing. But on the conventional level, if you look a meaning for life, you can become anyone. You can give a meaning to your life in any ways. You can change your identity to many level. You can develop any kind of skill and become someone for that. But becoming somebody is not going to give a solution if you have the question about meaning of life. So to get into that meaning of life, you have to develop the ability of this introspection. So that means you have to look the very depth of the life. And then that's why the practicing meditation give that opportunity for you, give that ability for you to go deeper and see. And that way, you are so capable to understand. We are so capable to go with the situations and hold to the situation and give a meaning to that situations. And we go and giving the meaning and identity, putting identity. But sometimes it is very rare we take opportunity, go beyond the identity and go towards other way. Rather than go with it, you go backward and see what is the real meaning. So that's why when it comes to practice meditation, how you can experience this, how you can develop this knowledge. Into that, your inhalation, exhalation, so don't participate to the breathing. Don't interfere with the breathing. Don't try to maintain. Don't try to control it. Just allow it to happen naturally as it is. And when it happens, and when it's observing doesn't mean you are just become very limited to this. Just observe that overall. So how this your entire body experience it. But you have to remember you should not participate with the inhalation, exhalation. So that's why from the beginning we become very limited to this point, and little by little, we withdraw from that. But today we are trying to directly withdraw from that, not go little by little. Because it's another way, that another window that you go into the depth right away. So, and then whatever experience come to you, don't consciously participate to experience it, but withdraw from it and observe it. So in that way, you will see it arise and itself, it will disappear or change to something. And little by little, be very clear. And so whatever the situation come overall, observe completely, moment by moment, without bringing any concept or the ideas or the thoughts or the patterns. Even you don't need to condition yourself, oh, I am practicing meditation or kind of like that. You just simply get out of your identity and observe and see. In the depth of this conventional thoughts, what is really happening, what you can really find. Don't label anything, but just learn to see without interfering or without participating. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. So your right palm on your left and neck head straight in one line, and be comfortable with your posture. So bring your attention to your body and scan head to toes yourself and say so patveva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge in this moment with this sitting. May my body become more comfortable. May my breath be more smooth. May no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also think for a moment. This is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime. And detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalation and exhalation. So in the beginning, deeply and gently, breathe in, breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalation, exhalations happen itself. When it happens through the sensation, recognize it, do nothing extra. Don't participate to your inhalation, exhalation. Allow it to happen itself naturally. Bring your attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also, as far as you can, through galaxies, other planets, stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all 6 directions at once. Like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy. Without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance, or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And also by the power of the victorious of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Tavata chammihi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Imaya Dhamma Dhamma Patipattiya Buddham Pujemi Dhammang Pujemi Sanghang Pujemi Addaya Imaya Patipattiya Jati Jara Vyadhi Maranam Ha Paribunjisami Idamme Punya Kammang Asavakkaya Vahang Hotu Sabba Dukkha Pamunchatu. Bless you.